as I read Scripture and I read in the Old Testament about the early days of this fledgling nation of Israel and how that they were taking territories and they're winning battles. But there's constantly these warnings that were coming forth from the prophets saying, when you get into the land, make sure that you don't forsake the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because if you do, bad things are going to happen. And then you read through the book of Joshua and all the wonderful pursuits and all the great victories. And then you flip over to the book of Judges, and it just absolutely breaks my heart every time I read it, because the nation just went away from God. And the scripture says they began to follow after the gods of the land, Ashtoreth and Baal and Molech. And I read the book, Return of the Gods, and I understand that these are terrible, terrible things for a nation. But of course, I take application and I say, well, this was Israel, and then this is now. And I'm talking about the country that I live in, but not only in America, but around the world. And you're seeing a return of pagan worship and things of that nature, which, as Scripture tells us, it brings judgment. It's just the reality of it. Proverbs 3:3. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the tables of thine heart. Now, I've told you before many times, I'm a daily reader of the Scripture. And in my system, it brings me through the Psalms and the Proverbs about every 4 months. So every time that I come to chapter 3 of the book of Proverbs, it just does something in my heart, because it talks about what will happen to a person or a nation that walks close to God. And he talks about the blessings, he talks about the prosperity, and it talks about just the joy of the relationship that a person has if they walk close to God. But we know that there's warfare against that. We know the adversary, that's certainly not what he wants. And so he's always disrupting. And he's always lying, he's always stealing, he's always killing. That's what he does. His influence is strong. It's very strong. And there are times in history that it will be very pronounced. But we know that ultimately he will be defeated. But unfortunately, in the process, he'll take a lot of souls with him. And as I said, these things just break my heart, because I'm like Jesus. I want to see every man and woman and child saved and going to heaven. This is Pastor Jack King with the gospel on the radio broadcast.